We went up to Darwin then, where they were dripping sweat before kickoff. There was sheens on both teams there. Eels 46, Broncos 6, and Broncos, even though they're in it for a long time, and I messaged you boys, but very clearly the wall was going to break at some point because fatigue had its hold and it was always going to happen. What did the stats say, Barn?
Yeah, it was 8 tries to 1, 6 out of 8 conversions, played 1 out of 1 for Brisbane, and Parramatta had a penalty goal. 77% completion, played 66, 34 out of 44 sets, played 25 out of 38. 11 line breaks for Parramatta, 3 for Brisbane, 49 tackle busts, played 24, 16 offloads to 12, 4 forced dropouts by Parramatta, 0 40-20s, 4 ruck infringements, played 5, 4 penalties apiece, 11 errors to 15. Mahoney made 42 tackles, Carrigan with 39, Sivo with 217 metres and 5 line breaks, Haas with 185 metres, Sivo with 157 Supercoach points, Gutho with 124, the Cardi Party with 120, and TPJ with 100. Elliott missed 9 tackles. Elliott?
That's the next game.
Sorry,
it's the next game.
Lane
Don't spoil my pot plant.
Lane missed 4 tackles out of 22. David Mead made 9 and missed 8.
Yeah, well, Eels were impressive, but they're up against a fatigued Broncos team.
I did mention it last week. I was worried about how their forward pack was going to back up after the game that they played the week before.
The first thing I want to say about this game is Eels would be really grateful for the fact they're playing Bulldogs this week because you would lay both teams coming off this game. I think it's a gutbuster to use racing parlance. This will take its toll on teams for a little bit to come. For this week, Eels can probably get through in second gear, but the Broncos, I think, are up against it again this week. Let's start with them first. Payne Haas is just a freak of a human being, 185 run metres. I think the rest of the team, another player broke 100. Asako might have, but I think Asako did. That was the only other one is 120 or so. And to play the time he did. As for the Eels, and I know it's flat track bully, and there's a contract up for grabs, but Mitch Moses was in everything. He was, I thought, really good. Gutho is always in everything, and was Gutho. Like the Stars were the Stars, and they put him to the sword. Papai outstanding. I said last week, and I'm backing it up. I reckon Bear would be mad to change his centre combination. I think Nikore and Opachik are a much better combination than Waka Blake and whoever else they had there before.
Michael Jennings.
Michael Jennings, he won't be back, so that's fine. But defensively, they're solid. They're big enough to bust through holes. They actually pass the ball, so we see the ball getting to both sides of the field. It's I think they're on to a good thing there. Marnie's good. And, of course, we need to mention the Cardi Party. He looked good. He was great, impressive off the bench. He used his size. I think he got 1 line break assist, 2 line breaks, a try assist and a try.
Just kept coming the whole time he was on there, which is unusual from what we've seen out of him in the last couple of years.
Dangerous player.
It's amazing what people can do when they're not holidaying on the Gold Coast, isn't it?
Well, I saw him enjoying breakfast on High Street this morning, so good on him.
Right.
What is it? Buzzers, whispers, whatever he says. Stupid thing he says. I think it's because Davey's not around anymore, but I actually really like watching Para these days. They're much easier to watch without him being a pest. What do you take away from the game, Barn?
TPJ and Carrigan, 2 that you didn't mention. I thought they were very good for the Broncos, but the rest of the pack
TPJ for someone that's not always there has had a good season.
Yeah. He goes missing a little bit occasionally, but there was a nice barge over try. The rest of the team went from average down to very David Mead, in my opinion. Corey Oates dead set needs to defend in the 3rd row of the fucking stadium because he comes that fucking far in, he might be somewhere near his wing when he starts out there. Because, fuck, man, the amount of times he ran in and Sivo just walked past him. I don't know what.
It's a shame because he had a really good game against Penrith too, and
at least I sort of
skills,
thought,
man.
But defensively, he's a head case. He fucking runs in.
They're better off just planting him in 2nd row and at least people grab him on both sides.
Anytime it comes near him, he just shoots in that far and he just leaves his
He's not a winger anymore, and he doesn't want to be. So
Cartwright remembered he was a footy player. Apparently, Gutho was fantastic. Sivo just bullied that Coates edge and just ran over the top of him. What do you say? Lane had a pretty average game, but that was about the worst player in the Parramatta team. The rest of them were just solid and
I
just did their
strongly
job.
suspect he'll be on the bench within the next 2 weeks, so, which is where he's been. Whatever.
Well, did it? Moses was pretty good. That karate kick at for
Yes,
that
I
try.
enjoyed
That was something you don't see very often. It was pretty impressive, but mate, they just had their way with them once they folded, as you said. Brisbane held in for a while, but just couldn't do it.
Ollie?
The big one here for me is Mitch Moses. It's interesting to see the performances he's put in the last couple of weeks because it's a contract year. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing in the media they're chucking around $1 million, even to stay at Para. And I'm thinking, you're currently on $800K. Chad Townsend's just signed with the Cowboys on a reported $650K per year, and he's a premiership winner.
Sean Johnson just got offered 400, so...
we can get to that. But yeah, it's just mind-boggling how $1 million's been chucked around, especially, granted, a good performance against Canberra, but a Canberra side who's not been great, and the Brisbane Broncos, and he probably will get $1 million whether he's at Para or Brisbane. I guess it's, you're worth what people are willing to pay for you, but I can't justify it, especially being Parramatta. Like, how do you justify paying him more than $800K when he's gotten worse?
I don't think Para will. I think if
he
he
ends
wants
up
$1
at
million,
Brisbane?
it'll be somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, it'd be, and it's funny enough.
I'm sure I think he could get 800 and stay. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a player option, so
I just.
He won't be getting $1 million at Parramatta.
Well, the thing is, he'll get $1 million at Brisbane, but then what's going to change? That's what Brisbane really need. Like, what will change with him?
What will change is he's got to enjoy it because his next contract will be $350 when they run last for the next 4 years.
Well, yeah, he'll be getting paid $1 million a year to play like Brodie Croft, pretty much, in my opinion. Like, especially, he's playing the way he is for Para right now, and he's got Gutho covering his ass. He's got Marnie covering his ass too. He's got Dylan Brown there. Like, what's going to happen when?
Well, he's got forwards that have a go.
And he's got a forward.
At Parramatta.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got forwards that are having a go.
And even look at what he did on the weekend. All the stuff was either broken field or a lot of space to do what he needed to do, yeah.
Yeah, because your forward step up, like your Papali'is, etc., who we've been going on about for weeks and weeks. I'm just interested to see how long this lasts, because he's probably going to have another blinder against the Bulldogs. But when's it going to come where he dips back down again? Because it will happen. Based off of his career, it will happen probably a week after he's either re-signed with Parramatta or signed with Brisbane. Are you looking at the draw to see when he's going to start?
No, yeah, talk about it. Gumpy, your thoughts on both Mitch Moses and the game?
I just don't like when I don't think that every player in the side's putting in an effort. And Brisbane got back to that again. That you've got one bloke that runs 200 metres in the forwards and not another forward runs over 100. So, you have... If you get 10 metres a hit up, surely your forwards are doing 10 runs and getting close to 100, but they've got some blokes that are running 40 and 50. So they're obviously not having enough runs and having a go.
Yeah, you're
like
playing
Haas
more
has
than 30,
taken
40 minutes. You need to
correct.
be making
and the
more
flip
than
side of that
6 or
is,
7.
and I
Haas
don't
is
think
making 2 runs every set.
I don't think anyone made more than 35 tackles either, so it's not like they're muscling up that way.
So I just have to question the effort. Like, I know that Carrigan tries hard, and I know that Pangai's in and out of games, and he has some good touches and whatnot.
But what's that going to do overall, right?
In the end, Haas is consistently working hard. They've already told Matt Lodge virtually they don't want him. Yeah. And he was good for a while, and
they're basically happy to pay for him to go.
Correct. He goes missing. The halves are still an issue, and they bring Milford back this week, so I don't know that it's going to get any better. He's bullied a Queensland Cup team, well, whoop-de-doo, in terms of that. And my pot plant, David Mead, he's terrible. I'll go for him as worse than Cohen S. He's at best a winger, and they're playing him in the centres. Like, seriously, surely they've got a kid in the lower grades or something. Well, that's what I mean. They dropped, but even
he's playing fullback in reserve grade.
But they
too,
must have other blokes that surely
Albert Kelly
have got more to offer.
Give him a go.
But have got more to offer. A kid.
Yeah.
Like, put a kid
100%.
in, like, persist with new or whatever, but because he's just...
You could put Carrigan out there and he'd get better.
That's what I mean. He's not any...
Yeah, agree.
He's missed half the tackles he's attempted. Like,
He's quick. He's a winger. He's a bloke that flashes onto the ball and runs down a sideline.
Correct. That's it.
And the problem for the first couple of weeks, at least when he was on the wing, is that they weren't getting him the ball. Like in attack, he'll give you a decent output on the wing. He showed that against Parramatta in round 1. But because they weren't getting the ball to him as much in the following weeks, they were like, well, he's not playing too good on the wing. Let's shift him into the centres and see if that works. Well, he wasn't necessarily the problem out there on the wing. They just need to get him a bit more
liability.
ball. Yeah, which pretty much every winger is. So chuck him out there. Like,
But it's
better than putting him in the centres.
As everyone said, Para were good, but the competition wasn't great in terms of that. They played good. Papali'i, revelation this year in terms of that, a play you didn't notice at the Warriors, and he's just, every time he gets the ball, you sort of stand up and notice, and you think, he's going hard, he's getting a try every week, and he's heavily involved in the game. They're Parramatta top 4 team.
Yeah.
I have to echo your sentiments of what you were saying about effort, and I didn't realise this until one of the commentators said it. I think it was in the Bulldogs game that said effort amounts to so much in rugby league, and it actually does, because what's the common thing we always seem to say about the worst teams in the competition? We just didn't see the effort. Like, sure, the Bulldogs, for example, they're not going to beat a Penrith, but let's just take that game in round 2. If we saw a bit of a better effort, the score probably would have been a bit closer. Like, you know what I mean? Just that
we can talk all about it.
About effort.
Just that effort. Yeah.
To your point, Mitch Moses is the next for the rest of this season. He's got Sydney. By Sydney, I mean the Roosters in 2 weeks. After that, he's got the only top 8 team they play until round 16 is. So they play Souths the week before Origin, Penrith the week before Origin. The rest of them are all bottom 8 teams until round 20 when they play East again. So Mitch Moses could potentially.
They've got the easiest draw, Parramatta.
Yeah, they do. And I said at the start, Canberra the easiest draw, but Penrith, Para have a dream draw. They'll go close to being second this year if they play the way they're playing, and then it'll be then we'll see what Para have got under the bonnet, whether it's straight sets Para or whether there's more there.